The Courtship of Princess Leia closes the first major arc of the expanded universe. The Truce of Bakura and Luke Skywalker in the Shadows of Mindor were single, one-off stories telling about the immediate and near-immediate fallout of the death of the Emperor. Rogue Squadron began the X-Wing arc, the first 7 X-Wing books and Courtship, which chronicled the legitimizing of the New Republic and the toppling of the first 2 largest and most powerful warlords. While the Courtship of Princess Leia was originally written as a standalone story 2 years before the X-Wing novels, it actually closes out the first Warlord Arc and the Zsinj arc, and really makes more sense when read along with them, sort of. We'll discuss more on that later. Suffice it to say, this book serves as the unofficial 4th Wraith Squadron book, just without actually having Wraith Squadron in it. Let's dive in. First, a refresher. The Wraith Squadron Trilogy depicted the hunt for Warlord Zsinj, commander of the single largest holding outside the New Republic and the Empire, and his superstar destroyer, Iron Fist. The Wraiths ran covert undercover missions against the Warlord in the first 2 books before joining Han Solo's battle group in an official capacity alongside Rogue Squadron. After several cat-and-mouse chases across Zsinj space and the surrounding territories, the 2 sides came together in a final climactic battle at Vahaba. As the battle drew to a close, Zsinj recognized that he had been beaten and only one chance to save his superstar destroyer. He engaged his second death protocol, where he used a night cloak to obscure a switch of Iron Fist for a decoy ship containing the salvaged parts of another superstar destroyer, Razor's Kiss. Once Iron Fist jumped to hyperspace, he dropped the night cloak to reveal the wreckage. Our story picks up right after this battle. Han Solo, still commanding his battle group from the Mon Ramonda, arrives back at Coruscant, eager to see Princess Leia, who has been on a secret multi-month diplomatic mission. When he arrives, he is shocked to see it surrounded by a fleet of Hapan battle dragons from the Hapes Consortium. His evasive actions are quickly called off by Coruscant, who informs him that they are there by invitation of Leia herself. Han hurries down to the planet in time to see a grand ceremony where all 63 Hapan planets present gifts to Leia. The 63rd gift is the most shocking. The heir to the throne of Hapes, Prince Isolde, asks for Leia's hand in marriage. At the same time, Luke is busy on his mission to recover lost Jedi artifacts in order to prepare to re-establish a new academy to train the next generation of Jedi. He tracks down a repository on the planet Tula, but upon investigating it, finds that it has been destroyed by Darth Vader. He finds a corrupted video of Master Yoda where the Jedi mentions being repelled by witches on Dathomir, where the Jedi were attempting to free the Chunthor. He has no idea what any of these things are, but he files them all away for later. Back on Coruscant, Han is furious that everyone within the New Republic assumes Leia will accept Isolde's proposal and begins planning the wedding. He is further horrified when Leia reveals to him that their time apart has changed both of them, and that she is considering his proposal. Filled with anger and resentment, Han travels to the seedy part of Coruscant and enters into a high-stakes sabacc game. At the apex of the game, Han wins the deed to a planet, the planet Dathomir. Knowing that Leia is still desperately searching for a planet to resettle the Alderaan refugees, he hatches a plan. He will kidnap Leia and take her to see the planet. Once she falls in love with it, he will gift it to her, hopefully winning her love for him as well. He goes to her apartment and makes his move. Han's actions come to light, and the Hapans are furious. Isolde's mother, Ta-Achum, sends her own forces to find him with the intent of killing Han. Isolde, on the other hand, realizes that Han's feelings for Leia match his own and simply wants to get Leia back. Luke arrives back at Coruscant as Isolde is preparing to go after Han and Leia and agrees to assist him. Han and Leia, accompanied by Chewbacca and C-3PO, arrive at Dathomir and are shocked to find Warlord Zsinj's fleet stationed around it, including a superstar destroyer being repaired. Han realizes they are in danger, and that he was scanned by the sabacc player that bet a world well within Zsinj territory. Han begins evasive maneuvers and manages to escape the pursuers, but crashes on the planet. After some exploring, they happen upon the inhabitants of the planet, a clan of Force-sensitive witches known as the Singing Mountain Clan. They are taken back to their camp where the planetary situation is explained to them. There are 2 rival clans on the planet, the good Singing Mountain Clan and the evil Night Sisters, led by Gethzarian. In the past, Palpatine had placed a prison colony on the planet, but upon discovering Gethzarian, bombarded the spaceport attached to the base and interdicted the planet to strand her and the Night Sisters there. Han sells the planet to the Singing Mountain clan and agrees to repair his ship as soon as possible and get off the planet so the Gethzarian cannot escape. The sisters fear the Gethzarian will conquer the galaxy if she gets off the planet. Luke and Isolde arrive at Dathomir and are attacked by Zsinj's forces, and are forced to land. Luke and Isolde investigate the planet and happen upon a large ship from before the Clone Wars that had crashed into a tar pit on the planet. Luke rafts out to the ship and discovers that it is the Chunthor, a mobile Jedi Academy. At some point it crashed on the planet, but any rescue attempt was repelled by the witches there. After leaving the ship, Luke and Isolde are attacked by one of the members of the Singing Mountain clan, Teneniel Jo, who claims them both as her slaves. Luke manages to gain her trust and is told of the struggle between the two clans. The number of the Night Sisters makes Luke worry about opposing them. Teneniel escorts Luke and Isolde back to the Singing Mountain clan compound. Upon arrival, she announces that Isolde is her new slave and that she will marry him. Isolde is obviously taken aback by this, and Teneniel is taken aback by his shock. She clearly captured him, and he never tried to escape. Based on Dathomir culture, they are betrothed. Any further discussion is interrupted by the appearance of Han and Leia. After much planning and discussing, it is agreed that they will raid the Imperial prison for parts to repair the Falcon so that the group can escape. In order to get more intel on the planet, the group decides to confer with an outcast witch named Baruka. Before leaving, the group meets with the village elder, Del, a 300-year-old witch whose age-addled mind traverses between the past, present, and future. She recognizes Luke as the founder of the Jedi Academy and asks him about his wife and children. She also recognizes Isolde, but is confused because he died. Luke assures Isolde that the future she has seen is only one possible outcome. Teneniel, who is in love with Luke because of his command of the Force, tells Isolde that she intends to free him before he leaves the planet, but will not do so before then because another witch will simply claim him for herself. The team, consisting of Luke, Leia, Han, Chewie, the droids, Isolde, and Teneniel, make it into Baruka's cave to find the outcast witch plagued by her time with the Darkside clan. She shows them the best way to get into the prison before being attacked through the Force by Gethzarian. She is fraught with guilt over what she did as a Night Sister, but Luke assures her that there is healing in turning to the light side. The team moves to the prison and prepares for their infiltration. Right before departing, R2 announces that he has intercepted a coded message from Zsinj. 3PO can decode it, but it will take too long to do it before going into the prison. Luke tells him to work on decoding the message while the humans move into the prison. After infiltrating the prison, they discover that it is a minimum security location where the Emperor disappeared his political opponents that might be useful in the future. In the basement of the prison, they find that Gethzarian has been using salvaged parts to construct a working ship, and she's close to completing it. Luke receives a vision from the Force that makes him realize they cannot leave the planet. They must remain behind and defeat Gethzarian, or the entire galaxy will fall to her. At the same time, 3PO decodes the message. Zsinj knows that Han is on Dathomir and has offered Gethzarian a deal. Turn Solo over to him, and he will give her a place in his organization. Fail to do so, and he will kill the planet. The Singing Mountain clan are able to repel the attack and begin to regroup. Han successfully repairs the Falcon, but R2 intercepts a conversation between Zsinj and Gethzarian. Zsinj informs Gethzarian that he has engaged his weapon to destroy Dathomir, his Nightcloak system, a network of satellites that can block sunlight from the planet, slowly freezing everything. If she does not turn over Han Solo, she and everything on the planet will die. She makes a counteroffer. Give the Night Sisters a shuttle, and they will go into New Republic space and create a fiefdom of their own and cause the New Republic concerns. He agrees. Later, Gethzarian contacts Han through the Force and tells him that she will kill all the prisoners under her control unless he turns himself over to her. After taking the parts needed for their repair, the team heads back to the camp. That night, Teneniel and Isolde grow closer over discussion of the different stars visible from Dathomir. While Han is sleeping, Gethzarian uses the Force to read his mind and realizes that they are planning to use the raided parts to repair the Falcon. Luke interacts with her through the Force and gets a glimpse of her plans. The Night Sisters are marching on the Singing Mountain clan to attack at dawn. They have to move quickly. The group arrives as the Night Sisters are attacking with a team of stormtroopers, enslaved by the Night Sisters from the prison and Imperial walkers. Luke sends the rest of them into the camp to begin repairing the Falcon, reasoning that if the ship is repaired and taken off the planet, Gethzarian will have no reason to continue her attack. Luke remains behind to assault the attacking Imperials in order to buy them time. He succeeds in halting the attack on one side of the camp, but the other prongs of the attack are successful in breaching the camp's defenses. Luke moves to help the Singing Mountain clan. During this fight, Luke encounters Gethsarian and squares off to fight her. The witch takes him by surprise in the fight and assaults him with an attack on his brain, which ruptures blood vessels. Luke begins to succumb to the darkness as he slips into death, regretting that he has failed to reestablish the Jedi. Han decides to turn himself in and retrieves a detonator from the Falcon. His plan is to surrender to the Night Witches and wait until they meet with Zsinj's forces. With both in close proximity, he will detonate the bomb and kill as many as possible. As he leaves, he finds Luke, who in his final moments of life began to pull on the force energy of the world around him to repair the damage to his brain. He has the Singing Mountain clan members take Luke back to the camp and heads to meet Gethsarian. Luke arrives back at the camp and tells Leia he must rest for a brief period of time before finishing the conflict. Han surrenders to Gethsarian and is taken to meet with Zsinj's forces. At the trade, Han activates the bomb, only to find that one of the Night Sisters had used the Force to deactivate the trigger unbeknownst to Han. The Night Sisters suddenly turn on Zsinj's forces, killing all of them in an instant. As they are preparing to take the shuttles, the Falcon arrives, being piloted with ultimate efficiency. Even Han is amazed at how proficient the Falcon is being controlled. He quickly runs into the ship to find that Luke is simultaneously piloting it, monitoring the ship's systems, and firing the quad cannons. Gethsarian's witches take the shuttle and flee into space with the Falcon in hot pursuit. The two ships make it to space to find Zsinj's forces awaiting them. Two Star Destroyers surround the shuttle and destroy it, ending the Night Sister threat. As Zsinj's forces turn their attention to the Falcon, Isolde's Hapan forces arrive and begin battling with the Warlord. Luke spots Iron Fist and maneuvers the Falcon under the ship's shields, allowing Han to destroy the bridge with a torpedo, thereby killing Warlord Zsinj. The battle ends quickly afterwards. In the following days, Leia reveals that she loves Han and wants to marry him instead of Isolde. This is taken well by Isolde, who is taken with Tenniel Joe and wishes to marry her. His mother attempts to prevent this, but a show of power from Tenniel forces her to relent. The story ends with Han and Leia's wedding. The Courtship of Princess Leia is okay. It's not one of my favorite books, though it does have some enjoyable parts. My biggest gripe with the story is that the primary conflict is unbelievable. Despite the author's earnest attempts to create some belief that Leia could possibly choose Isolde over Han, the sudden love triangle never makes sense. The author tries to portray Han and Leia's relationship as being strained by their time apart, but it all seems contrived just to make the plot work. It's a dumb problem that really weighs the narrative down. If this was the direction they wanted to go with the story, Isolde should have been an old childhood friend of Leia's that she already had a pre-established relationship with. My other big issue was actually a problem that was created around the story. Let me explain. Courtship came out prior to the X-Wing series. The Wraith Squadron Trilogy was written after the fact and was designed to act as a lead-in to a story that starts in media res. You don't have to read the Wraith Squadron Trilogy for this book to make sense, but I would highly recommend it. That's why I think of the 4 books as a tetralogy centered around the fight with Warlord Zsinj. However, I believe that Courtship is hindered by its association with the Wraith Squadron Trilogy. The trilogy is a much better read than Courtship in my opinion. On top of Courtship being a less enjoyable read, there are also problems with character portrayals. Zsinj is portrayed as a strategic mastermind and a significant foe to overcome in the Wraith Squadron Trilogy. In Courtship, he is an afterthought that is defeated unceremoniously. The story simultaneously needs the preceding trilogy to flow better, but is harmed by the decline in quality storytelling. It's a double-edged sword that was not handled very well by the publishers. There are a couple of final gripes I have with the book. One is the use of terms from our world that don't make sense in the Star Wars universe. The Hapan guards are described as being Amazonian. Primitive cultures are labeled Bronze Age societies. It's very jarring to the immersion experience. There's also a problem with the continuity in the book pertaining to Iron Fist. It really seems that the author forgot that Iron Fist was a super Star Destroyer about halfway through the book. These are minor gripes, but gripes nonetheless. As for the good, I enjoy how the book portrays Luke for the most part, particularly his use of the Force at the end. Luke's demonstration of power in piloting the Falcon with ultimate efficiency is a true demonstration of his abilities and gives us a glimpse of just how powerful he can be. It's really a cool scene. The Courtship of Princess Leia closes out the first major arc of the expanded universe, concluding the Age of the Warlords. At this point, the majority of the Imperial remnant has been scattered, and the New Republic is the dominant force in the galaxy. With Zsinj dead, the New Republic will gobble up a majority of his territory, with the Empire taking some as well. The New Republic doesn't know it at the time, but there are 2 growing threats that could be contributing to some of its success. One in the deep core, and the other in the Outer Rim, deep within Imperial territory. There is a standalone book, Tatooine Ghosts, that takes place before the next age begins and details a honeymoon trip of sorts for Han and Leia that we will discuss next. Have you read The Courtship of Princess Leia? If so, what did you think about it? Let me know down below. Thanks for watching.